Okay, somebody was asking me what I'm about, what my channel's all about, and I started to go into it, but I really said what we need to do as a group is make up mission statements and compare our goals. Originally, when I made my channel, I just wanted to make videos of things that were interesting to me, like my dog or whatever, kind of like a home movie, and upload them to YouTube. But then I found there was issues in our society that concerned me, and I wanted to put my opinion up there, and I found there was different things going on where I live. I live near DC, and I found that I could make videos and upload it, and whether or not people, cared or not, it would be an opinion other than what you get on the mainstream news media about what's going on. After I did that for a while, I noticed there was people out there who were being funded and they weren't necessarily being totally 100% truthful about what's going on. So that brings me to my basic overall mission statement or goals is a real change, a real truth movement. And I want to put truth movement, I'm just going to put that in quotes real quick, because I'm not real sure with all the people being funded in the truth movement and the government involvement with that, if it's a real truth movement, maybe a group of us need to sit down and discuss or evaluate what it is we're trying to do. Under that, I put social issues. What is it? Under that, I put real change, communication. Right now, we had a president who ran on real change, who was really obvious about what he was doing, didn't have a plan, and now 6 years into it, a large percentage of the country has realized we've got no change at all. Things have gotten worse, and then there's a small percentage of the population that's just clinging to it, and Obama's running around saying, if you don't like my policies, then you're a racist. Number 3 is broken promises, which falls into that category. I guess if you don't like Obama's broken promises or lies, then you're a racist too. Just on Obamacare, we have 15 broken promises, ranging from it's going to be cheaper than your cell phone bill to if you want to keep your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you want to keep your insurance, you can keep your insurance. That's 3 out of the 15. I found along the way there's people with common goals that see the same things that's going on. We're not always going to agree on everything, even if we were going to the bar just talking about local politics and who was our favorite politician, we wouldn't agree. Number 4 is secret agendas. This week we're having meetings, the G7 in, I think, Brussels near Germany, and the 7 top countries will be addressing their social policies and banking policies and war policies ahead of what anybody in the country's opinion is, and the rest of the world will be dragged on their heels of government officials who, set policies that affect everybody. Issue number 5 is current issues, but that always changes. Half of all Congress is worth $1 million, which just shows that your congressman can be bought and sold right now. A lot of people are saying we need an administration change. It may be too late for that, but people need to keep discussing that rather than all these other things being drawn into confrontational or threatening language, which really does nothing to solve the problem. Number 6, I put down another local issue. Somebody was talking about trolling, and I said it's really, just a general diversion from whatever the issue at hand is. Also last week it was passed the Monsanto Protection Act, which just is kind of a bill that Obama signed that protects Monsanto from litigation caused by seeds. Now, if you compare that to, say, marijuana reform or other issues, which I don't really put on a high priority list, there's probably some better examples out of that none of those issues will be addressed, or even the $1 million that half of Congress is worth. None of that will be discussed, because now we must discuss how this large corporation who is wrecking our industry has given Congress lobbyist money, and now in exchange they're going to offer them protection. So what you see is Congress acting as a large protective organizations for large corporations, and that's all set within DC. And I guess that would bring us to number 6, which is one of my solutions, which I haven't really written out, is abolish or annex the District of Columbia. Now, you've heard me mention before that, and this is a big one with Tattoo, is that the District of Columbia was set under the Organic Act of 1876. President Lincoln, under his War Powers Act with the Civil War, finished incorporating, and it since progressed to various banking acts that followed the last 20 or 40 years after 1876, or perhaps 50 years afterwards, that the District of Columbia exists outside a public corporation, as a public corporation outside the United States. So therefore it does not fall under the Constitution of the United States of America, because the District of Columbia is not a state, is a criminal enterprise. There are several ways to abolish or annex Columbia through legislation. Columbia could be converted back into a state, or broken up into pieces and reverted back into Maryland and Virginia. And simply all it would need to be done is to get the people of Columbia and the general population of the United States to push for the conversion of the District of Columbia back into a state. And I use a lot of lengthy language to comparing it to outlawing the district as a criminal enterprise for Congress and the President to establish other corporations like the Supreme Court to regulate U.S. law outside of the United States. That needs to be reverted back to oversight of the American people rather than the oversight of the American people by this criminal enterprise. And I'm not saying that is offensive or to abuse Congress or obfuscate Congress or relegate Congress. Rather just to point out the fact that that these people act legally within a criminal enterprise that they've incorporated into a district outside the United States of America. And some of that needs to change, and that can happen just through a general awareness of the American people. And that's basically the mission statement for my channel, what I'm about. Any of that's subject to change. I'm not going to debate all of that. Some people want to know about the drug war. I'm going to make a separate video for that. That all started with Reagan in the 80s and the importation of crack cocaine in the United States, when murders went from 5 or 7 a year in Maryland all the way up to 100 and 200 and then 300. And you know, the government plays both sides of the coin very well on the war on drugs. Whether you win the war on drugs or you lose the war on drugs, it's a lose-lose situation. The best thing to do would be to get the government to stop shipping in drugs.